Why are these two pianos right behind me two of the most important pianos in the world right now, and why have you never heard about them? Let's talk about it. Welcome to Miller Piano Specialist. My name is Forrest. Today, in honor of the 230th birthday of Ritmüller pianos, we're going to go ahead and do a deep dive into the Ritmüller brand, what they are, how they sound, what makes them such a huge deal, and why they're personally one of my favorite pianos today. So you'll look behind me, you'll see one of Ritmüller's uprights and one of Ritmüller's grands. These two pianos are personally a couple of my favorites. Ritmüller is a brand with history stretching back 230 years this year. They were founded in 1795 by Wilhelm Gottlieb Ritmüller with his father, and they went on to be one of the most notable pianos of the time, even enjoyed by world-renowned composers like Brahms. He has letters noting about how much he enjoys playing Ritmüller pianos. What took them from the renowned piano maker in Göttingen, Germany of that time to where they're at today? Well, in 1933, after several different eras of financial hardship, Ritmüller went into liquidation. And the brand was resurrected by today's Pearl River Group, which is the largest piano manufacturer in the world by volume. Ritmüller is Pearl River's more premium option. Lots of European heritage design components. They're doing all of the design on Ritmüller pianos and R&D in Germany these days. Now, this piano is one of those that includes all of those ultra premium components. So a Ritmüller Action, Renner hammers, things like even ebony sharps on the keyboard, stuff that you have to spend into the six figures in many other brands to get components like this. Well, all of that works itself together into a piano with tremendous feel for the price point. Ritmüller's Action is really spectacular, almost kind of bouncy while still remaining delicate and responsive. Tonally, very round and warm, but still with color and clarity. They are just a fabulous piano in this 5/7 size. Right behind me, the GH170R. I am continually impressed by just the presence of the low end, even for this 5/7 size. The GH170R is in their legacy line, and it's one of my favorite pianos in our showroom. People think of Nashville as country music. However, it's Music City, USA. A lot of folks don't know that we have a pretty robust classical and jazz scene here, and so when very high-level players come in, I always sit them down at this piano, and it gets rave reviews. Well, let's go ahead and we can talk about specs all we want, but let's really dig into it. We'll get some sound samples, we'll open up this whole piano, show you what is inside and what makes these so awesome. Now, while we're doing this, I'm going to talk a little bit about Pearl River's influence, since they, after all, are the manufacturer of Ritmüller pianos today, and what makes their secret sauce so powerful when it comes to Ritmüller pianos. Now, as I mentioned, Pearl River pianos are the world's largest piano manufacturers by volume. They are heavily involved in contract manufacturing. So what that means is it's sort of like your iPhone. Apple doesn't build the iPhone, a company called Foxconn does. Apple may send them a specialty chip and spec out the product, but basically they tell Foxconn, go ahead and build this for us, and they go ahead and build the iPhone along with basically, many other high-end smartphones out there. Now, Pearl River has basically been doing that with pianos for about 70 years. If there is a high-end manufacturer out there, Pearl River probably builds pianos for them, notably the Essex line for Steinway. They've built pianos with Yamaha in the past. They build pianos for Schimmel, another very high-end European manufacturer. They do some really incredible work. But why hasn't anyone ever heard of Pearl River? Well, they only really launched their own brand in the US about 25 years ago, and they're just really starting to gain a foothold. What they do amazingly well is their scale allows them to build an incredibly high quality piano at a very, very low price point. And by that I mean great build quality, great sound, and great feel for not much money. Now, part of that is they're operating in the world's most advanced piano manufacturing facility. It's about a 1.3 million square feet. Imagine the Apple campus for piano, if you will. So they're really just doing things at this incredibly high level. And again, it's a brand that many folks walk right into our showroom and it's featured right front and center there. However, they've never heard of it. They go, "What is Pearl River?" And they sit down and play it, and they're typically blown away by the tone, the sound, the feel of those pianos. And Ritmüller takes that experience and levels it up quite a bit. So we're gonna go ahead and take the Action out here, and you can sort of see what these are all about. Now, as I mentioned, this has a specialized Ritmüller Action built by Pearl River, which is a really, really fabulous action. Renner hammers, many ultra premium components on these pianos. And we're gonna go ahead and set it up on the bench here, and we'll get a good feel for what all of that is. Now we're going to talk about a couple of different things here, notably some components, some weighting, and we'll get into a little bit of everything and why these are so cool. Now I obviously talked about the Renner hammer on this piano. You can see that signature Renner red felt. Now that provides the gorgeous round warm tone that Renner is known for, but with plenty of clarity, plenty of brilliance as well. When these are voiced well, they can make just about anything sound awesome. That's why they're one of the most premium hammers in the world. The repetitions are, again, that Ritmüller specialized Pearl River Action. You have a spruce key, maple key caps, as well as, like I said, the genuine ebony sharps, which again is just one of those ultra premium things that you do not find on pianos at this price range or even really close to it. Lots of folks come in and they just remark when they play it, they say, something about the sharp keys I just like. They seem to be shaped well, I like the texture, whatever that may be. Well, that's because they're the same thing you'll find on the most premium pianos in the world. Now, as I mentioned, one of my favorite things about this piano is the Action. They have somehow unlocked this incredible amount of responsiveness and quickness without feeling like you're having to work too hard. You think about the Action as a bit of a teeter-totter. Whatever you lift up on one end is going to come back down on the other. And so, to me, the only way to generate very much up weight with the key returning is to have weight on the other end. However, they managed to keep these at about a 50-gram down weight, which is pretty much exactly where you want them. And then I'm just going to remove a couple weights here, and you're basically at a 32-gram up weight or thereabouts. Every key is going to be slightly different, et cetera, but it just feels like those keys are returning really quickly. So as you're playing through your piece, you never have to worry about going back to a key you were just on in quicker passages and it not being there or not returning yet. Lots of folks think this kind of brings to mind kind of those delicate, almost bouncier types of pieces, but it really fits well in just about any musical environment. You can play all sorts of things in here. I work with lots of churches that go with this piano as well, just because it has the right kind of warmth for accompaniment, but the right kind of brilliance and clarity to carry to the far corners of the sanctuaries or chapels. They're really just a do-it-all kind of workhorse piano. I sort of equate Pearl River and Ritmüller to where Yamaha was in the 70s and 80s when they just took over the world and took over Nashville notably. They just seem to be standing on these three pillars of a very high quality product, really robust build quality, and just great price point as well. Today, I see Pearl River and Ritmüller filling that slot of this incredibly well-built piano that just sounds and feels awesome and performs at a level that is so much higher than it ought to be, and a really affordable price point, of course. You can just tell the manufacturing quality in the Action. Everything is where it ought to be. Everything looks neat. Your things like glue joints on the hammers, you can see not giant globs of messy glue. A lot of care and time goes into these pianos. These are just great pianos, plain and simple. So now we're gonna go ahead and get it put back together, get some playing samples so you can actually hear it. We can talk again about specs all we want, but ultimately it comes down to the playing experience that you're gonna have when you sit at the bench, and if there's that magic there that we always talk about. So let's go ahead and slide the Action back in. So you can see why I personally am a huge fan of Ritmüller and why they get such rave reviews in places like the Larry Fine piano book, in places like Piano Buyer, just customer reviews as well from piano owners. There are incredibly favorable write-ups out there about Ritmüller pianos because they just seem to deliver what I think is probably the most punch for the money out there today. I really think that they are the absolute highest value piano available in at least the US market today that I come in contact with every single day, and I'm just wildly impressed. If you ask folks around here, they'll tell you that I gush about Ritmüller pianos pretty frequently. So if you are interested in learning more about Ritmüller, in testing some of these pianos and seeing for yourself if they stack up, go ahead and come down to Miller Piano here at 3656 Trousdale Drive, Suite 111 in Nashville. We'll be happy to show you around any of these Ritmüller pianos as well as any of our other product. And we are excited to show you everything that we have in store and all the projects that we are working on. Thanks for tuning in.